Up on Hour 2 of American Sunrise, Russian President Vladimir Putin is talking about next steps in peace negotiations with Ukraine. In moments, his reaction to President Trump and Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky's meeting at the White House this week. Plus, MSNBC's new identity crisis. The ultra-liberal network is officially dropping the NBC part of the network's name. We'll uncover what the new MS Now name stands for amid the massive rebranding they're about to undergo. And protesters are making plans across the country to host anti-Trump demonstrations throughout Labor Day weekend. What you need to know. All that and so much more starting right now on American Sunrise.
Good morning, America.
Welcome to American Sunrise.
Whether it's culture,
We have breaking news to share with you.
politics,
President Trump is joining us live now from Florida.
we've got you covered.
This is what it looks like to be a patriot.
We have to protect the American family.
The American dream is still alive.
I'm David Brody.
I'm Terrence.
And I'm Dr. Gina.
Welcome back to this second hour of American Sunrise. So good to have you along for the ride on this Wednesday morning. We really appreciate you being here with us. I'm Terrence Bates. I'm coming to you from our Denver newsroom. Let's bring in Dr. Gina and Emily Finn. They are both hanging out in our West Palm studios this morning. David
just
Brody
hanging out.
enjoying some...
Just
Just
chilling.
hanging out. There you go.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
chilling, not working,
Yeah.
just hanging out.
Listening
They're getting
to
that
some
chance to have a good
tunes.
time while I do all the work here. You know, somebody. Hey, no, seriously, guys. I've been wondering, and since you guys are there, are you guys getting any of the effects of Hurricane Aaron? I know it's supposed to be hitting a little further up the shore, North Carolina into Virginia, but are you guys getting some tougher surf and that kind of stuff as a result of that hurricane?
I haven't seen anything, not even additional rain or anything, but I think it's still on the path. It's moving up.
Yeah, okay. I was just curious. It popped into my mind because I was like, yeah, they're living in the tropical paradise. They're just hanging out there at the studios in tropical paradise.
Gina, what does he think we do here?
I don't know. I don't know, but clearly we need to up our game, Emily. We're not quite living up to Terrence's expectation.
Yeah.
I'm just messing with you guys. Hey, look, let's get right into the big news of the day. We're keeping a really close eye on Israel right now. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu expected to respond to a proposed truce with Hamas. The U.S.-backed agreement would put an end to the fighting, and Hamas has already reportedly accepted the terms. Israeli officials are going to be meeting over the next few days to prepare their response. In fact, we're expecting that to happen by Friday. So let's welcome into American Sunrise Lieutenant Steve Rogers. He is the Association of the United States Navy's Executive Director. He is also a friend of the show. Steve, first of all, good morning to you. I'm one of those guys who seems to feel like there can't be a truce with Hamas and there can't be peace in that region if Hamas is still active at all. Hamas has got to be eradicated to really move forward in any way. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I'd love your perspective.
You're absolutely right. There's no doubt about it. What you just said is an absolute fact. In order to get rid of terrorism around the world, and in order to stop these wars, especially in that region, you have to destroy, eliminate, exterminate Hamas and Hezbollah and any type of terrorist organization that's looking to destroy Israel. And by the way, it's not only the destruction of Israel, it's going to have a lot to do with with killing Jews all over this country. Look, all around the world, may I say. We saw Adolf Hitler rise up when people appeased Hitler and the Nazis during the 1940s. There's no room for appeasement here. There's no room for negotiation. Nothing short of destroying Hamas will not bring peace to that region.
Yeah, Steve, when I really think about this, and I always hear, they need to eliminate Hamas down to the very last person. But is that a realistic thing? I mean, I know I'm asking like a really dumb layman question here, but is that a realistic thing? Is it possible to literally, because aren't they going to hide with allies who are residents there? I mean, aren't there a million, crevices where they can hide? I mean, I don't understand when people say that. And then aren't there so many operatives on the outside that are going to still be communicating with operatives on the inside that this just seems like almost like a fantasy to say we could eliminate them?
Well, it can be done, but it is a long-term project here. We have to go after the countries that are supporting Hamas, that are arming them. That's still going on. That's financing their operations. In other words, you go after the head, you cut that head off, and you'll see Hamas really get affected really badly, where they'll not be able to operate anymore. But at the end of the day, Dr. Gina, the people are going to have to be given the strength, the will, the support they need to rise up and to destroy Hamas from within. I believe some of that's going on right now, but they're going to need a lot more support. But the Israeli military needs to go in, take complete control of that region. The United States government, without a doubt, has to continue to send a signal to Iran and other terrorist states that we're going to back Israel right to the end of this fight. And we're going to win this fight along with Israel.
You know, I do want to switch gears to what's happening here at home, what's actually happening in our nation's capital. The National Guard is expanding its patrols to the D.C. metro stations amid President Trump's crime crackdown throughout the city. Your thoughts on all of this? President Trump has been receiving some criticism for what he's been doing, but there is also a lot of support to try to keep the city safe.
I'm in Washington a lot these days, and I had the opportunity to speak to some of my brother and sister police officers in that city, as well as some of the residents. And to a person, they support what the president's doing. They want to be safe, they want to feel safe, and now they got exactly what they have been praying for many years. They've got protection. When the mayor of that city and the police chief gets up there and says that the crime rate is low, those statistics are fixed, they're fake, they're false, they don't exist. The reason why those crime statistics may be low on paper is because people are no longer calling the police. They're no longer reporting crimes because they know the police could not do anything to these criminals. So now you got the President of the United States. He brings in the proper number of law enforcement officers, including the military, in to fulfill the oath of office of every law enforcement officer. That's to protect and to serve. So the president has public support regardless of what those leaders in D.C. say.
Steve, put on your law enforcement cap again for me, if you will, and answer this question for me. Do you think that President Trump's crackdown in D.C. is emboldening police departments and officers around the country? And I ask you that question in light of police officers in Nassau cuffing and arresting nearly 40 MS-13 gang members who are accused of terrorizing parts of Long Island. That territory, that area is really beefing things up. Are you seeing this nationwide, and are you hearing from your colleagues out there in the law enforcement community that they're ready to really crack down and they feel like they're emboldened and empowered to do their job to really crack down on crime?
Terrence, they are. I've heard from many of them around the country. They're emboldened. They're ready to do what must be done to finally crack down on crime, knowing that the president has their back. And I believe that, and I hope that Pam Bondi goes a step further, that any mayor, any public official who decides to hinder the ability of the President of the United States and the federal government to come in and crack down on crime, they should be charged with hindering. There are laws against hindering the apprehension and prosecution of criminals. Criminals in this case are illegal aliens. Criminals in this case, at least in my view, are also those people who are allowing these criminals to run rampant around the streets of this country. So the president has the back of the law enforcement officers have the back of the federal government, and they want to see more and more get done in their cities. And by the way, the people I've talked to in New York, which is only across the river from me, they're waiting. They're waiting to welcome the troops to come in, like our troops were welcomed to Berlin when they ended World War II. So the people are ready, and they're willing and they're able to do what they must do to ensure they're safe.
All right, Steve, so you've touched on my follow-up. So you would be a proponent, you would be in support of President Trump mobilizing National Guard troops, even in cities where he doesn't technically have the authority outside of D.C., New York,
absolutely, without a doubt. Terrence, is so far out of hand. Look, I used to go to New York. I was born in New York, lived in Brooklyn, New York, greatest city in the world. I won't even go there now without carrying a gun, or in some cases, I've heard people wear bulletproof vests. That's how bad it's there. But once the President of the United States engages, and unfortunately, it is a war. It's a war against crime. As soon as he engages in this war against crime with the proper tools and equipment and manpower he needs, you're going to see a big change in that city as well as cities across the country.
Interesting. Okay.
Steve, what do you say to those libertarian types who say we're setting a very dangerous precedent, authorizing National Guard to go into local municipalities and tell them what they can and can't do, and that it harkens back to COVID? Government clamped down on COVID when the government was forcing American citizens, sometimes against their will, not to go to church or not to gather or those sorts of things. What do you say to those purists who have a problem with this?
Well, the parents that have a problem with this, as well as other people who are protesting against what the president is doing, they need to keep in mind that they're emboldening criminals. They're emboldening people who are looking to take control of their neighborhoods, if their neighborhoods are not already under the control. You know, the mainstream media wants us all to believe that people all over the country, including those in minority communities, don't want this. They want it. I've spoken to people, and especially the minority communities. They want to be able to see their children walk to school without the fear of getting shot. They'll do whatever it takes to protect their grandchildren and their children. So my message to those people who are speaking out against what the president's doing, move. Get out of the country. Go to Russia. Go to wherever you have to go in order to be happy. Because if you're not happy here, if you're not happy with this president, then leave. And that's a tough position I take, but it's one that I really close to my heart. We live in the greatest country in the world. We got a good president who's doing everything he could to protect everyone, regardless of race, color, or creed.
Yeah, President Trump is doing a whole lot to try to protect Americans all over the country. And you brought up Russia. He's even trying to protect people all over the world as well, doing so much work to try to establish peace in Ukraine. That meeting at the White House with Zelensky this week had everybody's attention, all eyes on that. What do you think the next steps are going to be? I understand that the president did have a phone call with President Putin after that meeting. Do you think a trilateral meeting is going to happen in the coming days?
Maybe not in the coming days, but I've got to tell you, President Trump has been very consistent in his language. He wants to protect lives. He's mentioned, look, we need to protect Russian lives. There are kids out there on the battlefield. He's mentioned the kids on the battlefield from Ukraine. He wants to bring everyone together at that table to ensure that lives are saved, of course, including the civilians in each country. I sense he's got some problems with NATO. I mean, the German chancellor decides that there should be a ceasefire. You know, the president is tough, he's strong, but this is where we, the people of this country, the United States, has to send a clear message, not only to Vladimir Putin and to leaders that are backing him, but to NATO, that we, the people, are standing with our president regardless of what they see on the mainstream media. Because as those maniacs are out there marching against the president, there are millions of us, multiple millions of us, who are backing the president.
Well, thank you for joining us, Steve. We appreciate so much you being with us. Always a lot of wisdom packed into one person. Thanks so much.
Hey, listen, you've opened up by saying you're hanging out. It's better to be hanging out than being hung.
Well, that's true in most cases.
Okay.
Steve, thanks so much.
I think everyone wants to hang out with us, Gina.
Yeah, well, I think
wanna
we're not
hang out
quite as
with
excited.
Come on
as
down
they
to
hope.
West Palm anytime.
I'll go to Denver and
I'm
meet
on
my
my
buddy
way.
over there.
There you go. All right, you guys.
Thanks,
Thanks a
Steve.
lot.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Coming up, President Trump continues to lay the groundwork for a trilateral meeting with Russia and Ukraine. We have the details on Trump's phone call with Putin after his meeting with Zelensky at the White House. The next steps in the big negotiation, that's next. But first, ultra-liberal MSNBC undergoing a massive rebrand. Could it be lousy ratings or ridiculous reporting? Find out. We have your preview of the new MS Now and how viewers are reacting to the dramatic change right after the break. Stay with us.